So here's a heartbreaking COVID story, which highlights our, pretty stark decline in this country at the moment. I think this is something that's happening probably all across the country, and we just don't hear too much about it. But this was some decent journalism. So Ryan McCarthy says, this story of a man in his 50s visiting a food bank for the first time makes you question whether our government is capable of even the most basic functions right now. So this is from Washington Post, who I don't normally give credit to, but for this one, they'll get credit. So the highlighted portion says the following. My wife and I have been hoping to get unemployment, but the website shuts down and there's no way to get through on the phone. Sometimes you call the number and they tell you the average wait time is like 6 or 7 hours. Then, after you've been pressing the phone to your ear all day, you might finally get through to talk to a robot who transfers you back to a real person who tells you to print some paperwork off the website that isn't working, and that's usually about the time the call accidentally disconnects. We've been waiting to get food stamps. We've been waiting for another stimulus. Yesterday, I waited almost 2 hours for my free medicines at the VA. I'm telling myself, the system's overwhelmed, and this is the time to be patient, but I can't make any more excuses to my bank account. It's hold for this, wait for that. We had a little savings, but now that's gone. And then you see he says, I tried to sell off some Yankee memorabilia, so on and so forth. Okay, I think that what Ryan says here is absolutely correct. When you read just that little portion, you walk away going, oh my God, I don't know if our government is capable of even the most basic functions at the moment. If I had told you that story without telling you the country it took place in, and then I asked you to guess the country, I think a decent number of people would not guess the United States of America. I think you might guess some developing country. I think you might guess some third world country. 6 or 7 hour wait time, automatically disconnects. Tell you to print out something from the website, but the website's not working. This is a nightmare. People are colossally struggling. And as we've said a zillion times, and we'll say a zillion more, that first serious bailout bill, Corona bailout, it effectively was $5 trillion that went to corporations, and the Treasury Secretary, Goldman Sachs lackey Steve Mnuchin, got to determine, with no oversight, where that money goes. So instantly when there was a crisis, as Dylan Ratigan said on Jimmy Dore's show, and I highly suggest that everybody checks out Dylan Ratigan's segments with Jimmy Dore because they're very informative, because this guy is obviously a financial expert in a way that Jimmy and I are not necessarily financial experts. But he laid it out very clearly. He said, did you notice what happened initially when there was a crisis? Who were the first in line to get bailed out? It was the stock market, the Fed pumping $1 trillion a day in liquidity into the market. It was the stock market, and then it was the corporations. The last people to get anything were regular people. Were regular Americans. And what did they get? $1,200. A one-time payment of $1,200. And so I don't think people truly understand the pain that's happening out there right now. And I don't think it will become manifest for maybe another year or two. But at some point it'll be clear, because I think we're about to enter an economic period that perhaps is worse than the Great Depression. Perhaps is worse. Because as of right now, there's a halt on evictions because of the pandemic, but can you imagine the number of evictions that will take place when they're allowed again? Evictions and foreclosures. Can you imagine? I certainly can't, because people can't pay the bills. They just can't pay the bills right now. Can't do it. Don't have the money, don't have the savings, don't have the ability, aren't getting the help from Congress. They're screwed. They're totally screwed. And by the way, Washington, D.C. has no idea. No idea. And if they did know, which they don't, but if they did know, they wouldn't care anyway. Because they are not representing you. They get paid by the corporations. They get paid by the wealthy, which is why they were first in line to get bailed out. And then when you read stories of regular people, it's stuff like this. It's stuff like this. And nobody can make the claim, oh my God, pull yourself up by your bootstraps, because it's not like we're hearing stories of people who have a history of laziness or unemployment or being irresponsible or 5-time former felons or whatever. No, we're not hearing stories like that. We're hearing stories of people who always played by the rules now being totally obliterated by circumstances outside of their control. And DC sitting on its hands. Not doing anything. No UBI. No rent freeze, no mortgage freeze. No universal health care. No nationalization of industries to pay 80% or more of wages. No furlough instead of firing like they're doing in European countries. None of that. You're screwed. Oh, and if you need help, whatever, go use the already existing infrastructure like the unemployment system that you have in your state. Oh, would you look at that? It's backlogged. And you got to be on hold for 6 or 7 hours. And then when you finally get through, they tell you to print a form. And then you go to print the form and the website doesn't work. So you're not getting any help at all, ever. This is what's happening in this country right now. Gilded Age, new Gilded Age, and we're in it.